Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. Are you ready to start living your life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary, even in these most trying of times? Then you have no time to waste. Let's get to it. Welcome, my friends, to the Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, everyone. In the previous episode, I clued you in as to the fact that the window is practically closed now as far as having this window of opportunity for a much easier time at a consciousness shift. We have been blessed with somewhere between 7 and 10 years of a window of opportunity. This window of opportunity afforded us a rare opportunity in which to more easily and quickly allow for a consciousness shift, to spiritually evolve, begin to awaken, touch our higher self, raise our vibration, open our hearts, and live in appreciation. And I warned everybody from the very beginning that it was not going to remain open forever. So we had that incredible moment in time to take advantage of, and that led us to the ability to live a fully engaged life. So let's take a look at where things are right now. If you look out there, we have all of the people that claim to be woke, right? That is the farthest thing from being awakened. These people are so deeply asleep and invested in this inverted, twisted logic that it's quite disturbing. And there are other people who have awakened enough to begin to see through all of the illusions around them, such as the fake narratives of the politicians, celebrities, athletes, and others. These people are in the beginning stage of waking up to where they start to realize that not everything around them is as it seems, and they've only scratched the surface. But there are others, although the numbers are not as large as we would hope, but there are others who are beginning to awaken to a greater degree. They have been diligently working with meditation, meditative practices, the development of mindfulness. And they have succeeded in already raising their vibration, opening their heart, living in a state of appreciation, and beginning the consciousness shift. If you look around, you can see these three types of people. That begs the question, which are you? Where do you fit into that puzzle? What have you been doing for the past 7 to 10 years? And I would even ask, what are you doing right now? And yes, I realize you're listening to this podcast right now. But that's not quite the question, is it? What have you been working on? What are you working on right now? Right now, today, this day, what have you been working on? What did you work on yesterday? What are you working on right now in this moment that will enable you to begin living a fully engaged life? If you've been with me since the beginning, then you have had ample time to make substantial headway, and I have given so much through my book, podcast, and other programs that I have offered that there's no excuse for you not to have made tremendous headway. No excuse. Now, some of you may be new to this podcast, or at least newer. Fair enough. So, then what can you be doing right now to benefit yourself? not just spiritually, but mentally and physically as well. You have to remember, as long as we are alive in this body and mind, it's a package deal. So we would like them all to be healthy. So for all of you who are new or newer to this material, what I like to do is give you an overview, some things you can start doing right now today that will benefit you. And I'm sure that if you check through the catalog of all of my podcasts and read my book, you will find in-depth material on everything I'm about to cover. So let's begin with the spiritual aspect of things. What is the first thing? Mindfulness. Mindfulness is the foundation of spiritual practices. It is what allows us to begin to discipline and observe and work with the mind. And it's through that that we open the doorway to the spiritual. So you should be developing mindfulness practices. Now you may think, well, that's kind of the mind more than the spirit. But all of these things actually interact and serve as doorways into one another. So if you are working on practices to develop your mindfulness, authentic practices, not making stuff up, then you are creating a good, solid foundation. I've found over the past 4 decades of engaging in this type of material that developing the mental state of mindfulness is the first step of awakening. And it sets the foundation for all of your meditative practices and even gives you the ability to be far better prepared for actual meditation. So the first phase of this, and one of the most important things you can be doing right now, because you can't put this off, you can't wait. There is no more time. So begin going through the mindfulness practices. If you've already done that, then it's time to enter into some of the meditative practices and begin engaging in meditation itself. These things cut to the very heart of spirituality and its practices. It is the succession of mindfulness, meditative practices, and meditation that will lead you into the ability to raise your vibrational frequency, open your heart, live in a state of appreciation, and be able to hold a strong and healthy state of mentality and spirituality. One of the very best things you can do right now, which I have been saying for decades, turn off the TV, put the phone down, stop looking at a screen. You have to understand it is programming and propaganda, and that is poisoning your mind. You have to break the addiction to the entertainment. So be very careful what you put in front of your eyes and ears, because this is what you are feeding your brain. And you are either going to poison it with that sort of garbage, or you can nourish it through the mental and spiritual practices. The choice is yours. And of course, we need a healthy physical body. And the same thing as with the mind, we have to be careful what we put into it. We have to be careful with what we put into our bodies. We have to stop poisoning our body and our mind. And it's all too easy and all too common for people to live this way, poisoning their mind with worthless entertainment of sports, movies, and television streaming programs, and especially social media. What a cesspool that has become. All of those things serve to poison your mind, to cause the mind to become weak by distraction. Likewise, when we eat and drink processed fake foods, GMOs, all of the fast foods, and other poor quality, unnatural food items, well, then we're poisoning our body too, aren't we? So we have to make sure we are eating some of the best quality foods we can get. And that quality varies depending upon where we live in the United States or even throughout the world. But the idea is to get the best you possibly can. And cook for yourself. Preparing and enjoying a meal is meant to be a very mindful, high vibrational frequency act. It's not a chore. It's part of our daily lives. We only see it as a chore when we become mentally and physically lazy and spoiled. But most other cultures, especially outside of the United States that so heavily embraces fast food, other cultures embrace the meal. They embrace the act of preparing it. They embrace the act of mindfully consuming it and enjoying it with company while making sure that they're seated and enjoying good conversation. This is healthy living. And then along with a good diet is the age-old companion of exercise. You need fresh air, get out into nature, get out of the city, get up into nature, take a hike, take a swim, do whatever, and make sure that you are exercising. You have to have some form of exercise. We need to be up and moving. Our bodies were made for that. That's the magic recipe that has always been right there in front of our face, the combination of a good mindful diet and appropriate exercise. And as far as what type of exercise, whatever you like and whatever your body needs. My wife and I do many things, but on a daily basis, we do a plank, either a high plank or a low plank. Sometimes we do several planks back to back. We'll do a 2-minute high plank, drop down into a 2-minute low plank, come back up into a 2 or 3 minute high plank, and then after our planking, then we stretch. We do full body stretches, making sure that our bodies remain healthy. And then we may add in something like some kettlebells, Bowflex, hike a mountain, kayak in a bay. There's so many incredible things we can do. And I know you might be saying, well, the gyms are closed. You don't need a gym. There's so much you can do outside of a gym. And if you belong to a good gym, great. As soon as you can get back there, do so. But in the meantime, that doesn't give you an excuse not to do anything. See, it is only the weak mind that always looks for the easy way out. Always looking for an excuse, some way that you don't have to do that exercise, or that you don't have to make as much effort, or that you don't have to do that meditation or breathing exercise. And the mindfulness is what you need to begin to give you a stronger mind. And then, of course, we have breathing practices. I highly recommend having a daily breathing practice. And while this is a physical activity, it engages the mind and brings in the spirit as well. The breath is one of the ways when we are engaged in forms of conscious breathing. It is one of the ways that we unite the body, the mind, and the spirit together in a very powerful, consciously awakened way. So it's time to take a look at ourselves and ask ourselves some questions. And then the difficult part, we have to be honest with ourselves and actually answer honestly. And yes, that can be very difficult for many people. So, what is your diet like right now? Do you have some food item or drink in your hand? Is it healthy? What are you eating today? Has it been healthy? What form of exercise have you engaged in today or will engage in today? What is it? What are you doing? What type of exercise do you do on a regular basis? And have you done it today or will you do it today? Which mindfulness or meditative practices are you engaging in today? What did you do today? Anything? Did you engage in some breathing practices, some of the formal mindfulness practices, maybe some of the challenges out of my book, Expansion Mastery? What practices are you engaging in? Are you going to be doing an hour or two of meditation today? Do you understand the point of all this? We have to ask ourselves these questions every day. We can't allow our mind to be lazy and weak and push these things off. Well, I'll start it tomorrow or I'll start it next week. And then another 7 to 10 years goes by. And believe me, my friends, this little sliver of a window of opportunity isn't going to be open anywhere near that long. The way things look right now, I would give that window maybe 2 to 3 months, if we are lucky. However, even when that window closes, it doesn't mean that you will no longer ever be able to benefit from the practices. That window of time for the past decade that we've had just allowed it to be a lot easier and quicker than it ever has been in the time I've been alive. And it's not supposed to be that easy again for several hundreds to possibly thousands of years. It was a very, very rare opportunity we got to see in our lifetime. Did you manage to take advantage of it? Or did you become a victim of your own excuses? Okay, but back to it. So even once the window is closed, can we still benefit from these spiritual practices? Yes, of course. Progress may be slower. You may find it a little more difficult due to external circumstances as well as internal circumstances, but you can still gain the benefit from it. The most diligent of practitioners will continue to progress, but they will have to exert a lot of effort into their practices. So we still have the ability to raise our vibration, to open our heart, to live in a state of appreciation and love, to be able to live a fully engaged life. We just might have to work, well, let's face it, a lot harder to get there. But it's still worth it. It is worth that much effort and 1,000 times more. So even with that window closed, and let's face it, our world has changed. Our culture has changed here in the United States, and it's still in a state of change. Where it's going to end up is anybody's guess at this moment in time. I don't know. If it keeps going the way it's going, and these brainwashed Marxists take us into a state of communism, then it could become very, very difficult for us to progress through anything because we will be trying to survive. You see, up to just a few months ago, we had this very, very easy opportunity, this incredible time to work with and progress through these practices. And then one day, just like that, everything changed. And now the United States is at war with itself. We have various factions of politicians who are at war. We have civil unrest and economic instability. And all of us citizens are being used as pawns in a twisted battle to destroy our country. Doesn't sound like fertile ground for spiritual growth now, does it? That's when the window closed. Still open a sliver, but not for long. So now we must try harder to eat well. We must try harder to maintain our sense of exercise. We must make the effort to engage in our mental and spiritual practices. There are two types of people in regards to this. Those who in the face of a little adversity give up and give in, and those who in the face of that same adversity move forward with a stronger sense of determination than ever before. Which type of person are you? The answer is easy. Are you eating well? Are you exercising? Are you engaged in mental and spiritual practices on a daily basis? Are you forging ahead more determined than you've ever been? Or are you giving in? Are you getting lazy? Finding yourself scrolling through social media more than ever before, or binge watching more streaming videos than ever before, putting on excess weight and becoming depressed? It's very easy to clearly determine which type of person you are right now, but it's not too late. You can change course. Today is another day. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't start it tomorrow. Start it today. This podcast is presented to you first thing in the morning. So you have the ability to determine what kind of day you have, and you can choose to start engaging in these practices and healthy activities right now. So the show is released on Monday. So assuming that you woke up Monday morning and couldn't wait to tune in to this episode, you grab your tea or coffee and then call up this podcast, right? I know that's what you all do. Well, there may be one or two of you who put it off a little bit and listen to it later. But assuming that you're listening to this first thing Monday morning, and I know some of you are, let's take a look at restructuring your day. First thing you're going to do is you're going to eat dinner at home. You're going to make it yourself from scratch. If you have someone you're living with, if you're married or what have you, then both of you will be involved in preparing this meal. You will sit down together at a table and actually enjoy it, maybe even throw on a little candlelight. The phones will be put away, TV and all of that stuff will be turned off, and you will talk and enjoy one another and the food that you so caringly prepared. Then you will also be engaged in exercise. So grab a plank, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, take a walk, whatever it is. I do recommend avoiding this modern attitude of, well, if you just do one or two every day, then it adds up. No, it doesn't. That's not enough to matter. It has to be enough to matter. Your heart has to be pumping. You actually have to be making enough effort to make a difference. So find some form of exercise that you want to do today and break a sweat. And leave the TV off. And here's a hard one. I know you guys hate me for saying this, but here you go. Stay off of social media. All of it. Stay off it. No social media Monday. And first thing in the morning, get up and go outside. Breathe some of the fresh air first thing in the morning. Maybe even just walk around your block, but at least walk around and get some air. And engage in a breathing exercise. Here's the beginner's breathing exercise, easy to do, very, very beneficial. Find somewhere to sit comfortably. If you can do it outdoors, it's even better, but if not, that's fine. Anywhere you can sit comfortably where you won't be distracted by anything. And you're going to put your hands on your lower abdomen, down around your belly button. And we want to be able to feel our abdomen rise and fall as we breathe. This is called diaphragmatic breathing, sometimes just commonly called belly breathing. So from this seated position, and you can sit however you want, it doesn't matter. We're just doing a very simple beginner's exercise. I recommend doing this for at least 5 minutes. If you have the time, 10 to 15 is better. And if you want to make it a greater practice, then shoot for 30 to 40 minutes. The idea is to sit and relax, put your hands on your lower abdomen, and just simply breathe deeply in and out. Try and make each inhalation and exhalation a little longer each time, but don't force anything. And be mentally aware of the physical sensation of your abdomen pushing your hands out and bringing them back. So that you feel, and you're aware that you feel, your abdomen rising and falling as you breathe. You can close your eyes or you can leave them open, it doesn't matter. This is just a very simple, easy exercise. And if you'd like to incorporate a sense of mindfulness into that and begin to work on mindfulness, it's simple. Here's what you do. While you are engaging in the diaphragmatic breathing, consciously hold your mind on the fact that you are doing this diaphragmatic breathing. You can just be aware, have your mind stay aware that the belly is moving, or you can focus on sort of a mantra of I am breathing in, I am breathing out. Now, the key here is not to allow extraneous thoughts to distract you from what you are trying to keep your mind on. This is how we begin disciplining the mind to establish mindfulness. If you are very new to this and your mind wanders, then just catch it and bring it back. But if you've been doing this for a number of months or even years, then that shouldn't be happening anymore at all. But if it is still happening, then you bring your mind back and keep going. Try it again. And you try to make those times longer and longer in between distractive thoughts until you can do this for half an hour and there are no distractive thoughts. This is so good for the mind. And then at some point, maybe at the end of the evening, you're going to take a little bit of time for some meditation. You're just going to sit, relax, and just do your best to allow, don't force, allow the mind to come into silence, to settle. If that's even just for a few moments in the beginning, that's fantastic. You just want to allow it to settle so that you don't have all of these rampant thoughts and emotions running around through your mind. Okay, there you go. There you go. Can you make those changes to your Monday? Can you make those changes to your daily schedule? And let's not kid one another with the whole, well, I'm pretty busy type of excuse here. It just doesn't hold water. There's always time to make a meal, to enjoy a little exercise, to engage in some mindful breathing and relax with some evening meditation. You would probably be shocked to find out just how much free time you have when you turn off the TV, shut down the computer, and turn your phone off. You would probably be stunned to find out how much time out of your day those things rob you of. So, we must take back our lives so we can once again live in a natural and powerful way. There you are. I know sometimes the hardest thing for newer people to do is get started. They feel a little overwhelmed by all the material and things that are there. They can get confused. So I hope this episode has given you very clear direction on how to get started and what to do to get started. And if you want more information on anything that I've covered in this podcast, I've done entire podcasts just on each one of these individual topics alone, not to mention there's a bunch of in-depth material on it in my book. You have all the resources you need. It is now in your hands. It is 100% up to you. It is your responsibility, should you choose to accept it. So once you finish all of those practices that I've supplied you with, make sure you stop by www.expansionmastery.com. Yeah, you know you're going to fire that computer right back up, so swing by the website, take a look, some blog articles on there, grab an autographed copy of Expansion Mastery and all the other goodies that are there for you. Please make sure and help us out on social media, follow, like, and most importantly, share these podcasts so that we may benefit as many people as possible in this unfortunate time of shadow banning where very few people get this material. Until next time, my friends, I wish you the very best in your practices and your life. Take care.